Gentlemen, I'm about to bring to the stage, Forbes calls the world's richest restaurateur, okay? 600 restaurants. This is a $6 billion man. Bought the Houston Rockets. I'm gonna ask him how the hell he made sense of that. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring to the stage, Tilman Fertitta. We're gonna rotate here, okay?
Sounds good. I like to rotate. I'm one of the great rotators. No.
I was eating in his restaurants when he was starting restaurants. So it shows you the difference between think. This is what, how many restaurants later now?
600, you know.
How much food have you sold? How many times have you hit a cash register for $1? $3?
It's gotta be in the trillion, I would think, by now. I mean, every time, every check, I would hope so. There's been a lot of dollars generated in the last 30 years. So
that's French fries, crawfish.
Anything you can think of, I've sold it. So,
how important is sales in that hospitality restaurant business?
It's all about revenue, because you can always cut your expenses once you've created revenue. And that's what I tell everybody. You got to get your revenue up, because if you don't have revenue, you can't cut any expenses if you need to. Like during the pandemic, if having high volume restaurants.
What did you say? Did you say the pandemic?
That's it. That's it. It was a plan for opportunity for people who wanted to get rich. And it was a time, even though we didn't know it in the beginning, for the rich to get richer is what happened, honestly. But it's also one of the greatest opportunities for all also.
And your career in restaurants started with your dad, if I'm not wrong.
My dad had one restaurant. I learned how to peel shrimp, learned how to work the line, but then I broke out on my own. I never was in business with my dad because I was so successful after my fourth restaurant that I had on my own. My dad said, you're making a couple of $1 million a year. Why would you go risk that? You know, and I said, because I want more. I always want more.
Yeah.
So.
And you say it again, that last piece.
More.
So is that like, do you think that the people in the room should be thinking about more as actually a strategy for success?
Well, it's at some point it has to become sport to you. And now it's just a competitiveness. And it's just, this is a game. Like people say, why do you not retire? Why do you get up and go to work every morning? Because that's my hobby. And I tell everybody out there, God gave us all a talent, okay? I don't care what it is. But the first thing you got to do is find something that you like doing, okay? And find out that God-given gift that God gave you. Because as talented as we are, there's so many things I can't do, okay? There's so many things I can't do. But I found out what I could do, and that's I understood business. And so it's my hobby, and it's sport every day.
So your dad, now was he more of the saver? Was he more of the to reduce expenses? And you had this idea, I need to grow and scale the revenue?
Well, my dad was an entrepreneur, but he still thought in a small way. And the sense that if you can take $1 off the table, you never get hurt making a profit. My theory has been, if somebody said, how did you become worth so much money? It's because I've never sold anything. And I've watched the value of real estate and assets go up and up and up. And so I'm not a seller, because I think great wealth is created by not being a seller. Just look at the appreciation and inflation of everything.
So now the 600 restaurants, you own the real estate underneath them too?
I own the real estate out of probably 80 to 90 of them, because you want the best location. And that was always my thing, is go after the best location. With the best locations, you know, on the water with a port or on a mountain or wherever you need to go, it's get the best location. But always buy the real estate if you can.
Now, are you when you look at real estate, you know I love real estate, right? So,
I know you love your real estate.
So
I'm going to be positive about real estate because I love real estate.
Yeah.
And it's screwed up the gaming business right now.
Tell me why.
Well, what's happened is everybody's realized the real estate is worth more than anything. And so when you go and you're trying to, say, acquire a casino, it's all the OpCo, PropCo now, and they want to sell the property first to a REIT, and then we'll sell you the OpCo. Well, then you just become a tenant like you would in a restaurant. Like MGM doesn't own any real estate under their properties anymore. You know, Cosmo just sold. The real estate sold for $4 billion and the business sold for $1.6 billion.
Wow.
But now you're just the tenant. And so I own all the real estate under all of my casinos.
So now that's Lake Charles.
Las Vegas, Lake Charles, Biloxi, Atlantic City, Laughlin.
What's the best market?
Lake Charles, Louisiana, because you're 2 hours from
serious?
Houston and Las Vegas. Each one of those casinos do over $100 million in EBITDA.
Wow. I've lost some money in Lake Charles, by the way.
I hope so.
And-
I mean,
Fuck
you got
is wrong
something to
with
lose. Hey, them casinos weren't built on losers. I need mofos like you to come in there. Any of y'all too, you're welcome. You're welcome to lose some money in my casinos.
When did you start making big money?
When did I start making big money? What's big money?
Well, you tell me.
You know,
Shit,
I'll tell you this.
how would I know? You're worth
when
six times what I'm worth.
When I was 22 years old, I bought my first $100,000 CD, and that was big money.
Yeah.
But that's a long time ago. I'm not as old as him, but I'm old.
Well,
No, but that's a lot of money. Even today, let me tell you something. Anybody out here, the first jumbo CD you buy, you stand in that mirror and you tell yourself, I'm a smart son of a gun, because you are, okay? The first 100,000 is the hardest. The first million is the hardest. And once you get it going, that son of a gun just keeps going if you keep working hard. But I did learn this from my dad. Don't ever spend before you take care of your business. So many people start making a little bit of money and they start taking it out and living on it, and then they don't take care of their business. Where if you were to put that money back into your business continues to grow. All businesses need equity. And so just keep living like you are, because growing your business is a bigger thrill than going on any trip or buying a little bit bigger car or doing anything else. There's nothing like watching your business grow. And that's what I always did. Did I sneak me out a few crumbs to live well? Yeah. But I've always put the money back in my business, and I'm still putting the money back in my business.
how in debt did you go on the way to scaling like 100 restaurants? You had to be taking on debt to expand, right?
No, let me just say this. In 1993, I went public and took my company public, but I owned 100% of it. And so you wake up and you got a company doing $7 million in EBITDA, and that's when restaurant companies were all getting these high multiples, and you wake up and you're worth $100 million. So I didn't really have any debt at that point. But as I've grown, and I took the company private in 2009, so I was public for about 17 years, and then I went private again. I took on debt.
So tell me what happens. I don't understand that. So you went public. You still own it. How do you still own it if you go public?
Because I took it private. During the crisis of 08 and 09, when everybody's stock went down, I used that as an opportunity to buy my company back again. I made a tender offer to all the outstanding shareholders, but I was already still a majority owner. But that very seldom happens. Yeah. A guy takes a company public owning 100%, and then takes it private owning 100%, and I own it 100% today.
So I need to learn this from you. So we'll trade phone numbers, and because I got to figure this game out. I don't understand this part of the game. So you owned a majority when you went public.
Yes.
Now that is a form of debt because you have shareholders.
You have shareholders.
So.
But let me tell you why people said, well, why don't you take a partner and take private equity? And I said, I'm not taking private equity because they get a seat at the table. Remember that. If you take on a partner, they get to sit at the table with you. If you take on shareholders, they call and they want to complain about something. Goodbye. I'm hanging up. Sell the fucking stock. Okay?
Shut up.
All right. Seriously.
Shut up and listen.
Right. Okay. So my whole deal was I'll have shareholders, but I would never have a partner. But yet when I went public, all the bankers said, oh, take some private equity money, see how you like it, put a couple of seats on your board. Put some people on my board? What do you mean? Okay.
You want control.
I always wanted control.
Why is that? Why is that so important to this audience?
I felt like that I knew what I was doing, and the worst thing you can do is let a professional board seater come in and start telling you how they think you should do it, okay? And I just never went that way. And so now, you know, it worked out for me. And believe me, I'm not any smarter than you guys out there, okay? I am not that smart. I just know what I know, okay? That's all. I know what I know. And that's what you have to do, is you have to know what you know and focus on that. Like people tell me, hey, should I go get my MBA? And you know what I tell them? You know if you need to go get your MBA, okay? I didn't need to get my MBA because I already...
So you got out of high school and did what?
I went to school for a couple of years, 3 years, and then I went into business. And I dropped out of the University of Houston after my junior year because I was making so much money. But I've been chairman of the Board of Regents there now for the last 7 years. So it's better to be chairman instead of a student.
He dropped out. Here's a dropout. Give a big 10X to a dropout. So when you buy the shares back, so you saw the shares getting crushed in what, 08?
Everybody's shares got crushed. And
it had nothing to do with your business, really.
It had nothing to do with your business. I mean, I still own all the stocks that I bought in 08 and 09.
Wow.
Where you own Oracle at $7 and Cisco at $6, MGM at $5. I mean, the whole world got crushed. And that's when always be a cyclical player, okay? You might feel good about your real estate investments right now because they're going up, but always save capital for the downturn. That's where I've made most of my money, is I've always been the cyclical player and kept liquidity, because remember, the strong get stronger when the strong get weak. And I've always taken care of that. And I always
but in the beginning, Tilman, like when you weren't rich, okay, 28 years old, 30 years old, you're building. Like, were you throwing it all in there? You weren't keeping a bunch of dough around. You were building your business.
No, I was building my business, but that's different as you get the opportunity. Let me tell you something. When I built my 5th restaurant in San Antonio, Texas, I was using credit cards, everything.
Right.
To build. But you got to remember, you know what I always made sure? I always made sure I had good credit. So I must have had 20 Bank of America and Visas, and I made my payments because that was one of my ways for capital back then. But credit is the most important thing you can have. Pay your bills on time, okay? Because as soon as you don't pay it on that 30th day and it's the 31st day, you were a past due. Don't ever be a past due. When my whole world was shut down and every one of my businesses were shut down, my basketball team, my casinos, my restaurants, I had an $80 million bond payment due 2 weeks later. I didn't even think about missing that payment.
Wow.
Okay? Didn't even think about it because I wanted all my lenders to know I'm as strong as ever. I'm the bull and you're going to get your ass paid.
Come on, come on. Look, guys, this is a billionaire right here. I mean, legit, 6.8 billion, probably 8 billion since he woke up this morning. Who knows? Last night he went to sleep at 6.8, wakes up at 8.2 today. So I just want to be clear to the audience, okay, guys? What I'm hearing him say is on the come up, he was willing to use his credit cards, 20 of them, to bet on himself. Is that right?
100%. I always bet on myself. Like people today ask me, will you invest in this? Will you invest in that? I'm still doing deals myself. Why would I go invest in your deal, okay? But this is advice that I've given everybody. When I've talked to NFL players or anybody, I'll say, don't ever invest with money. Don't ever invest your money with somebody that's got less money than you. Think about what I'm telling you.
Say that again. Say that
Don't
again.
ever invest your money with somebody that's got less money than you, because they need your money, okay? You want to invest with people who don't necessarily need your money, okay? Think about what I'm saying there.
I love that. 2020, every business you had got shut down.
Every single one.
Not one of them was open.
Not one of them. But you
God
know,
damn, dude, how scared were you?
there was about 2 or 3 weeks there that I was scared shitless, just like the rest of us. When you have, but I've been around a long time, and this is what I realized is you got to make quick decisions. And I caught a bunch of crap because I laid off 40,000 employees the first week. Well, Disney, MGM, all these big companies did it 6 months later, 4 months later, because they were hired in CEOs and they didn't care. And I caught crap for this.
What,
but
CNBC, Forbes?
Yeah, everybody. I caught crap because I did it so quick. And I made this comment one night, and it was either on CNN or Fox. I don't even remember. It's probably Fox. But I watched other downturns. Remember, I've been in business since the mid-'80s. I built my first hotel when I was 26. And I've watched downturns, and I watch our government try to handle unemployment, and they're not set up to handle unemployment. And so the people to the line get there quicker and start getting their unemployment checks. I had many employees thank me that they were able to get in line first.
Wow.
And they're all hired back today, okay? But you got to do what you got to do, and you got to make quick decisions. Sometimes you can't save the world, so you try to save a few. And you got to always remember that.
Yeah,
so you try to save the world, bad things happen.
Yeah, so you guys remember, he's got 600 restaurants, casinos. How many countries you in?
About 12 countries and 41 states.
Every single business that he had, the cash register stopped.
And remember, those basketball players still want to get paid. James Harden still wants his $47 million. Okay? He wants his money. Well, you got to pay it.
He's got the Rockets. Nobody can go to the games. Were you fighting the NBA on that? Were you for like, let's continue the season?
You know, in the beginning, you're not fighting anybody because the world shut down. And so there's no one to fight, okay? You're fighting a loser.
What were you doing? What'd you do for a year?
Well, what happened is, thank God I live in a conservative state, and all in the end.
Where do you live? You still in Texas?
Okay. Houston. Home office is in Houston. But because I grew up in Galveston and Houston, a large part of my business, from amusement parks to restaurants to hotels, you know, I probably do 25% of my revenue in Texas. We opened up on May the 1st, where the East Coast and West Coast were shut down for the next 18 months. And so just 2 months later, everything was open. Not even 2 months, 6 weeks later, I was on Governor Abbott's committee. And as you can see, Texas and Florida don't have any more cases than anybody else, but yet we opened up. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in the vaccine. I believe in masks when you were going. I mean, I'm not an extremist either way. I'm a conservative though. But you do whatever you want to do. If you want to come in here and every one of y'all have on a mask, I don't really care. But Texas was smart enough because we hadn't proven the science. And the governor was having all these experts talk to us, the committee, that we opened up and said, let's see what happens. Our hospitals weren't full. Everything was fine. And I think it proved right that Florida and Texas opened up ahead of everybody else.
And you weren't being you're not suggesting to be reckless. I mean, he fired or laid off 40,000 people in the first week.
No, absolutely. You had to do it. Because remember, when they told us, oh, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks, I'm smart enough to know, I've been around. The virus is here and it's going to here. You think they're going to open it up as it continues to rise? When they said, oh, we're just going to shut your casinos down everywhere for 2 weeks. Oh, but you still have to have all these people there because it's a gaming property, and it's still going to, so it's still costing you probably 100,000 a day with all your employees gone, because you still have to have surveillance and security and all this BS to protect the money. And I knew it wasn't going to be for 2 weeks.
Was that a popular or unpopular decision with the people around you, close to you?
Well, it was unpopular to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what we did to people, I think, is a crime, and the mental illness. And I know more people that died during the pandemic, not of the virus, than I've ever known in the rest of my life have died in the last 2 years. Okay? Now, I still take the virus seriously. Okay? I'm serious about it, but I'm just not an extremist about anything. And I thought we took it to the extreme side.
Yeah. I think there was a period of time where you sold vitamins, Shaklee vitamins, which is still around today. Like they're like a 100-year-old company or something.
You know, the greatest thing about a direct selling company, and I did this when I was 20, 21 years old. Matter of fact, I won me a free Cadillac when I was 21 years old, okay? And selling Shaklee vitamins was, it teaches you how to get in front of people and speak. It teaches you how to cold call people. It taught me how to keep books and business, and everything's a lesson in life, okay? As smart as I might think I am, I get up every day, and you and I could go sit in the back room and talk for 15 minutes. I'm gonna say, you know what, Grant told me something I really never thought about before. Yeah. I could sit down with anybody in this audience, and you're gonna tell me something that I hadn't thought about before, because we all are very intelligent. We're all very intelligent.
How important has the sales game, learning that and having that experience young, you know, at a young age, winning the Cadillac, been to owning 600 restaurants? What are your gross receipts a year now?
I'll do with all my businesses right at $5 billion in revenue.
A year?
A year. And do $1 billion.
Come on, give me a hand. God damn. That's a year. That's more money than the whole room might see this year.
Know,
there's a lot of poor people in this room, just so you know.
It's probably one of, if not the largest, purely one shareholder company in America. Wow. You know, everybody's got a partner, a brother or somebody, a cousin, or just their high school friend.
Do you have your own socks?
You know what? Somebody sent me these.
I like that, man. Somebody got to send me a pair of those.
I know. I mean, God darn, you got your name everywhere. I'll have to send you some of these. I'll find out who the guy. I guess he wanted.
Who wants some Fertitta socks?
That is funny. I don't know what made. That's what was in the drawer this morning on the boat. I just grabbed them.
So the sales thing. How are you using that today? How do you transfer that? What did he say? The boat. On the yacht. That's a yacht. So how big is the yacht?
252.
Goddamn yacht. If I didn't know better, I think he's like a Russian oligarch. They're going to come grab it from him.
You know, it was hard. You know, I'm going to tell you something. The Diplomat is in a horrible location. I had to take off from my yacht on my helicopter and fly to the Fort Lauderdale airport. I spent more time driving to this damn place, 20 minutes in the car, 10 minutes in the helicopter from Miami. I mean, you inconvenienced my ass.
Pour me. Pour me another drink. This fucking guy's got it bad, huh? I guess being a billionaire ain't all that's cracked up to me.
It's horrible.
I've been known to jump out of planes before to get places quicker. So the sales game, how important has that been to you through your whole career?
Everything. Even, you know, when I went public, you're selling equity, you're flying and meeting with, you know, the people that buy equity and shares. You're selling. When you got out of the equity game, being public, and you're a private company, I have debt that trades. So, like, I don't go to the bank and borrow money from your local bank. I hadn't walked into a local bank in 30 years. You're dealing with the big institutions out there. And what's happening is that's selling too. You're selling your company. And everything is credibility, okay? Everything is credibility. During the pandemic, I was the first person to go and do a leverage finance loan with every business shut down. And I borrowed $300 million. And people criticized me because of the rate. Okay, because I usually borrow at 3 or 4%, and somebody said, "Oh my God, he's trying to borrow. All his businesses are shut down. He's borrowing, you know, 12% money."
Is that what it was?
Yeah, but you know what? I was able to borrow it and nobody else could. Okay, and I never spent a nickel of it, but I knew with the cash that I had and 300 million more that if nothing of mine opened up fully until December 1st, that I would be one of the survivors, and then I would eat everybody else alive. Okay.
So Tilman, where did that come from? Like, where did you develop that kind of like? I mean, bro, that's like that's big nutsack right there.
No, I mean that's just what you do. It happens over a period of time, and I think that's you play in high stakes. I mean, my company's worth $10 billion, but don't. I mean, I have billions in debt. But I would rather have debt than partners, and I have the ability to borrow the money, so I would rather do that. You know, now you still have all your covenants and everything, but that's what I would rather do.
Yeah, you own a hotel called the Houston Oaks Hotel.
Post Oak.
Post Oak. That's the only hotel I stay at in Houston. And I go there 4 or 5 times a year. It's the only 5-star hotel in Texas. Is that right?
Yes, and it's the only in the whole South that also has a 5-star spa.
The word is that this is what I was told, have no idea if it's true, and he and I did not, chop it up before this, that you tried to get a loan to put that in place, to build it, and nobody would, and you're like, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
That's absolutely not true.
Okay,
No.
What's the truth?
Because I just built that a few years ago, and I had many people want to do a loan on that hotel.
You do want to.
I had many people that wanted me to do a loan.
Got it.
But I've been around a long time, and when you're building a luxury hotel, usually everything I buy that's real estate, I'm the third owner. Okay, I never. That's a legacy asset, but I built it out of cash flow because I didn't want to put a loan on that.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
that hotel is fantastic.
no, because
by the
you
way.
just go. It's easy to get a loan. Here, 30% equity, loan to value, 70%. But I never finance real estate projects.
Okay.
I always use my
Because
company.
you got a lot of money.
Yeah,
You got a lot of money, man.
yeah.
So little guys
No,
like
no.
me, we got to use debt. So
I have a lot of debt, but I never do project financing. I never want to get trouble with project financing. Because if something goes wrong, then I can just shut it down if there's a horrible depression and then start it up again. But if
you want to be in control of that project.
I want to be in control. I never want a bank telling me, oh, you're behind schedule, you're ahead of schedule, you're over budget, you're under budget. So everything is done internally.
Yeah.
Where the money comes into the company, but there's never but you've built your business through project financing because that's what works for you. That just never was the way I wanted to do it.
Right.
But remember,
and you got this big cash flow machine too.
no, that's the difference. Is I was with a guy the other day that has built so many condo projects in Houston, and he said, I've always wanted to be like you, and I've always admired him for the last 25 years. And he said, but I build these high-rise condos, I sell them, and the profits that I make, I use that to run my overhead until I build my next project. I've never made any money because then I use it on I've always had cash flow businesses that gave me the ability to borrow money at the company level, and then I can do what I want to do.
Got it. What is the difference, because you brought it up, what is the difference between being a millionaire and a billionaire?
No, it's a huge difference. I mean, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
How huge?
Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. You don't have yachts and jets, and, you can fake a lot of things, but you can't fake jets and yachts, especially if you don't lease them or charter them and you truly own them. You know that. You can fake a lot of stuff, but it's just what you have the ability to do, but more so from an investment standpoint is that I have the ability to continually to grow my business in a big way. I was looking at something the other day because I'm pitching something right now, and when I bought the Houston Rockets, we saw the pitch, and I was worth $3.9 billion. Okay? Well, 5 years later, I'm worth a whole lot more. A whole lot more.
So did I have the number wrong earlier?
Yeah, a whole lot more.
I'm sorry if I offended you.
No, it's
I
okay.
fucked up your whole day.
That's all right. Forbes offended me too, so it's okay. But
Well, how much, what is it?
you know, it's just,
But I just want to get it right the next time I say it to these people. You know, is it 10? 10 plus?
right in that area.
Okay, 10 plus. $10 billion man right here. Plus.
But
Shame on me.
I know, but you know, there's a paddle for everybody's ass, okay? Because I'm looking at something right now, and my great fear is one of these super rich guys coming in, you know, that are worth, you know, 100 billion and 60 billion, and there's only like 30 or 40 of them. There's not even that many. I think there's 20, and they're not a problem for you unless you happen to be looking at the same asset. And then they're a problem.
You're saying no matter how far you get up the food chain, you're still confronting the same problems that you have when you were.
Yeah, because now I'm looking at an asset that they're interested in.
How big is this?
It's somewhere between $3.5 and $4 billion asset, and
they can do it too.
Well, it's really easy for them. It's even easier, you know, because I would have to use some cash and do some leverage and move some things around and get creative, you know. Because when somebody says, "Oh my God," it's kind of like when the pandemic happened. Somebody said, "Well, he's a multi-billionaire. Why don't you just keep paying your employees?"
Right.
Well, a lot of your net worth is in the equity of your business. Okay. Right. You have a business that's worth, if it's doing $1 billion, is worth $10 billion, and you might have $4 billion in debt on it. So there's $6 billion of your value. And the Houston Rockets are worth, Forbes says, $2.7 billion. Well, I only have $300 million in debt on them because that's all the NBA has. Well, there's $2.4 billion in debt. I mean, in equity. But that's not money.
Right.
You know, nobody has billions in cash laying around, you know. And so it's you know, that hotel cost me over $400 million. I don't have any debt on it, but I mean, this is what happened in the pandemic to people, and this is what everybody forgets. When you have 60,000 employees, your payroll tail, the day that the pandemic stopped, I knew that I had 2 payrolls coming up that were $100 million. Because remember, I'm no different than anybody else in my business. You pay yesterday's bills with today's dollars. Your payroll was for the last month, and you're taking in money every day, and that's how you're going to pay it. Just like you pay last month's bills with today's paycheck. And that's what people don't understand is that when the world shut down, all those bills are still there.
Right.
I still owe all these people a paycheck. And so you always have to have a lot of liquidity, but nobody ever has as much liquidity when somebody's worth $10 billion or the guy worth $40 billion. He might have $1 billion in cash.
Right.
I mean,
So when you do these big deals like the Rockets, okay, you do the Rockets, it was on the market?
It was on the market, and it's the quickest deal ever done and the most paid ever for a sports franchise. But the deal went on. I was in Europe, in Saint-Tropez, and the team, and I'm from Houston, I always had the center court seats right there. I have the same seats today. And the team went on the market on July 17th. I signed a contract Labor Day weekend and was done in $2.2 billion.
And you got it because you overpaid for it?
I don't know.
At the time,
I
they thought
overpaid, but I knew that I wasn't going to lose it. Okay?
Yeah.
And there were a couple of people that looked at it that were worth a lot more money than me, but they couldn't relate to the fact, and let me just give y'all good advice. Return on investment, cash on cash return is the thing that you should look at the most, unless you're buying a sports team. And when you buy, there's never been a sports team sell for less, okay? Everybody doesn't remember this, but
you mean when they're traded,
they never sell for less.
They don't lose money on the trade.
The New York Yankees sold for $10 million in 1970. The Dallas Cowboys in 95 sold for $200 million. Okay? I tried to buy the Rockets in 1992 with a partner for $80 million, and I lost out, okay, to somebody who paid $85 million. Over the next 25 years, I built my business and became worth billions of dollars, and I paid $2.2 billion. And that's real money. I mean, I had to write out a check for $2.2 billion, okay? And how I did it was with cash I had on hand, but because I owned 100% of my business, I went to my lenders and said, hey, y'all loan me another $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion, and I'm gonna take a dividend out. And it's like you have an equity in your house. I have equity in my business. But most people can't do that because they don't own 100% of their business.
Yeah, so now.
And nobody else could do that.
How did you get into that club though? Other than, because what I hear is it's not just, can I write a check? It's like,
well, you can't be a bad guy. You can't be a promoter. You got to be a legitimate person. You can't have a criminal history. But if it's real simple, be not a bad person and have the most money, and you usually get it. Okay.
This audience has got you're good people, right? Say 10X. We just got to figure out the rest now and get the money. The book, Shut Up and Listen. Shut Up and Listen. Why did you write that book?
Because I always thought about it, but I always wanted to do a tell-all book and get after all the people I ever wanted to get after. But they came to me, the publisher, a big-time publisher, and said, we want you to do this book, and we want it to be all business. We don't want to hear stories about people or anything like that. You know, who's a piece of shit out there, who's great. We want it to be how you became successful. And you know, everything is, and I'm not going to, say you're in this hotel today and you wake up and it's 11:02 and you say, I'd like some scrambled eggs and some toast and bacon. Well, I'm sorry, we don't serve breakfast. It's 11 o'clock. Well, you have a pan back there. You got some eggs. Drop a couple of eggs in there. Take a fork, move them around. I know you got some bacon for that club sandwich. Throw it on the plate. I know you got some toast for that club sandwich you're going to make. Throw it on a plate and send it up to my room. I'm sorry, sir, we don't serve breakfast. That happens everywhere. So it's all about the customer. There are no spare customers. And it's things like that. Don't assume because you tell somebody to do something that it's done, okay? Right when you think everything is never going to be bad again, it will. When things are so good, you never think they're going to be bad again. You know, just good business, what made me successful. And so that's what was good. And you have a ghostwriter writing the right words, but I truly wrote the book. And anybody that read the book, everybody that worked for me that read the book or listened to the audio, they said, God almighty, that is you. It's everything you preach. It's everything you say.
Why do you look like you genuinely enjoy helping people when you don't really need to on a Saturday or Friday afternoon? Do you enjoy, like, mentoring?
You know,
give me my hand. Come on. He don't have to be here. He could be on his yacht.
You know, honestly, I'll tell you where I've been a failure. Because people ask me every week, can I come follow you around? Or will you mentor me? Will you give me an hour? Will you give me a day? And I just can't do that, okay? Number one, I can't talk about what I need to talk about in front of you. And it just doesn't work. And so it was kind of my way of truly being honest and talking about the mistakes I made and what mistakes you shouldn't make. And you know, I'm not trying to promote the book because it's already been on the New York Times bestseller. You know, it's just a really good book. You know, it's just a really good book that you can read in 2.5 hours that's not written over anybody's head because I can't talk over anybody's head. I'm not smart enough. So it's written where I can understand it, I could write it, and you can understand it.
What do you think, Tilman, with everything you're involved in? I mean, you're at the pulse, the heartbeat of a lot of stuff that's going on. Like, what advice would you give this audience as they leave here this weekend to go out and scale their business the way you have?
Well, you got to have scale. You know, everything you do, and don't think you're successful because you had a little success. Okay, people think they're successful because the first real estate deal they did, they made money. It's kind of like I watch people go in and they think they figured out the casino and they're up a couple $100,000 on me, but yet they leave that night down a couple of hundred. Okay, none of us have everything figured out. And this is one of my biggest quotes. There's a paddle for everybody's ass, okay? And there's a paddle for mine, and I make sure that paddle doesn't get me anymore, okay? It was all right to have little paddles, but the deals that I do today, if I take a paddle and that mofo's gonna hurt, okay? So don't ever think you're smarter than you are. Okay?
Do you always, last two questions, do you always kind of have an eye out for that thing happening, the shoe falling off?
People live on hope, and this is where people make a mistake. When you go to the bank and you're trying to borrow some money, you give the greatest performer in the world. You be aggressive, you do whatever you have to do. But you better have a case, which is the worst case scenario, and you better not fail on that deal under that worst case scenario model, or you shouldn't do the deal.
I love that.
Okay? And that's what I've always done, is that how bad does it have to get that this deal still works for me?
I love that. I love that. Last question. I wrote a book called The 10X Rule. What would the term 10X mean to you?
You put money in a deal and you're going to make 10 times.
That's what it means. How else would you apply that to what you've done? Because you are truly a 10X person. Like, you are top of the food chain, a guy that came from very little, and you've done unbelievable things.
Well, you know, it's so funny because, yeah, I mean, you know, when you make that first 100 million, it's the hardest. But then you got to that first billion, and it's much easier to get to that second and third billion. You know, I'm thinking about this. When I bought my first casino in 2005, I paid $317 million. My gaming business today is worth somewhere between 4.5 and 5 billion. Wow. So that's better than, I guess, a 10 times.
That's 11, 12.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Is this guy amazing or what?
So.
Any other advice you'd give these people as they leave here?
You know, just decide that I'm going to get from point A to point B, and I'm going to work hard and do whatever it takes, okay? But always do what you say you're going to do. If you're in business, always do what you say you're going to do. When I go buy something from somebody and you say you're going to deliver this on this date, I expect you to deliver it. So always leave yourself room, because nothing happens the way you think it's going to happen. If you think you need to make this much money out of a deal, then make it 20% lower, or don't do the deal. Always watch for the unexpected, because the unexpected always happens. Always keep liquidity. Liquidity has saved me. All right? Always have liquidity.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to Tilman Fertitta. Come on, give him a big 10X. Thank you. Let's go.
Thank y'all.
Come on.
Appreciate it.
Raise the roof. Let's go.